welcome back to the channel. Hey, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, stick around for a while. We're on the road. We're heading about 2 hours northwest, more of the center of the state, upper center. Bought some freestalls on an online auction, and we're going to pick them up finally a couple weeks later. I had to go get them. No one else wants to leave the farm. We got a lot going on, but I'm gonna jet up here and grab these. Talked to the guy on the phone. He sold the cows. I think he's still got heifers, but real nice guy. Said he's got some other things he wants to show me that we might be interested in. So we're gonna get up there, and I can't remember his name offhand, but
at the next stop sign, turn left.
Turn left at the stop sign. He's up by Midland, so we're gonna head there. That was Vassar we just left, we took out of, so stay tuned. We're gonna go check out this guy's farm and see what we can't get. Let's go. Okay guys, we're getting there now. Less than 1 mile. Very peaceful road. Very little traffic. No, I think we found the place. Look at them barns. It is these barns. We're gonna take a peek and see what's going on around here. And we're here, and I think he's grabbing a stack.
A regular
I'm Kip.
YouTube. Jerry Bonner.
Nice to meet you.
Levar Farms was the name of my farm. And 20 years ago, we expanded from an old setup, milking 150 cows, over into this setup, where we started milking 600, stayed there for the last 20 years. This barn we're standing in is probably one of the more important barns we built. And this end of it was just all free stalls, and it held about 35 fresh cows. And its purpose was just to keep them close to the herd facility down here, where he had palpation rails, where we could manage those cows and watch these fresh cows daily until they were about 10 days in the milk and doing well, according to the computer. And they would get booted out into the milk cow barn then, next door, out into the big freestall barn. But here you can't see what's left because we've taken everything down. But this was a pipe rail fence right here. We fed from the outside alley. We do that with all of our barns. They're all very similar.
Okay.
We feed with a feed wagon on the outside row. In the inside here were palpation rails that we just made. We followed MSU specs, and the cows could come around, circle in the back, and come into it single file. So they stacked in this palpation rail like they do a herringbone parlor, and the vet could stand behind them then and preg check and do whatever he had to do. At the end of the palpation rail, which is right down here, it held about 10 cows, big cows. The palpation rail came down to here, and then we had our head chute at the end of it, which was just a big stationary head chute. That let the animals, if we had to do a DA or anything special, or quite often pump a cow, if she's got ketosis or something, we'd run her into the head chute and then work on her here. Right next to the head chute then, there was an insulated little shack, because none of this is heated. And this is our insulated little shack, which was a breeding barn. There's no power out here now, but he had water, hot and cold, and he kept his semen tank in here and that sort of thing, just so it was close to where he had to manage cows. This is the downstream side of the cow management system, and again, it's hard to tell because everything's ripped out. But this little narrow alley right here was where the cows would come back from the holding pen, and on the days that we had to sort them, we would flip a gate down there so they didn't get in behind and go back to the freestall barn. They all had to come single file through here, where they were ID'd first by that one because they had the ID collars on their necks. And I still got that system. It's a cow, not cow manager, but cow It's Westphalia's plan anyway, I forgot the name of it, but it's a GIA system. And I had this ID system, and then the sort gate was automatic, and that's what these control panels are doing. They're an automatic sort system, and that would at first ID the cows, and then a flipper gate was down here that would section off the cows that we needed and divert them and put them in that way. The cows that we didn't need, it flipped the other way and would send them back to the freestall barn. So that we did once a week on Tuesdays, vet day. And then also we were trimming hooves every 2 weeks and all the cows to be trimmed. So out of a herd of 600 cows, we were maybe managing the most 80 of them, but typically more like 60, because that would be the number that was either in here for vet check or hoof trimming.
And this was all put in 20 years ago?
Yes.
New?
Yes, 2000 it was, we went from that old setup over there milking 8 cows on a double side, it was a double 8. Over to this double 16 that's in the parlor. But in here, we haven't done much destructing yet, other than Tim Ostrowski. The blocks on the walls were pretty nice, so he wanted them because they're hard to find, those glazed blocks.
Yeah.
And so he's been coming in here getting them, in which, I don't know, it's up to a guy. If he wants to get them, he did.
And this is the parlor?
Yes.
This was the holding area?
The holding pen here, and this is pretty much still intact, but it's kind of a simple.
Is that a crowd gate?
Yes, a GIA crowd gate. These are air hoses running out to it, so air ran everything here. So we got, the air compressors were all sold, but they were up there, and they're piping air out to here and out to the freestall barn. But it's air operated from within the parlor, forward, backward, lifted up, and the controls are all still there. There's controls over there on that wall, that post.
Yep.
And then there's controls inside the parlor. So a guy can go up and get his cows and lift the gate from back here and open gates.
And they just push it and move it forward as they need it?
Yes, they control it up in the parlor. Those cows are so stubborn and those big things, you just sit back here. And so we finally put the electric wire in here. Ran electric wire, it worked pretty well.
That is, what's that, sprinkler?
That's my poor man's and simple and very effective sprinkler system. And that was one of the secrets where we never lost milk production in a hot summer.
That's a good idea.
We didn't lose it, and that was simple because it's only running off tap water pressure. And we plumbed it in the back room, and they make a simple sprinkler system that runs off of temperature and timers. So it has to get a certain elevated temperature before it even kicks on, and then the timers would run it for like 5 minutes at a time and then shut off 10. So all the cows would get a bath when they came in here, and they liked it. Man,
Yeah.
it's just like raindrops. I learned about this one from Schwemmer's guy over in the Thumb, Jake Schwemmer's herdsman, and he put his in himself, and I was over there doing what you're doing right now, and visiting and looking and talking and learning, and he says, oh yeah, this is great, and I vouch for him. He said the same thing that I am, that simplest, cheap thing to put in for an irrigation. You know, screw all those big fans and misters and all that fancy stuff. This stuff is just like raindrops. It just scatters the rain over the whole system, and it's cheap. I mean, I'd give that to you if you wanted it. Air operated.
So they come in through here.
Yep, air operated, so that gate opens up, and it's quite automatic actually, because you hit the down button for the brisket rail, because the brisket rail folds right up, this whole thing. So that folds up when they're done milking, lets 16 cows step forward. The design was kind of important, they tell me, on the drop floor, because that encourages cows not to stand on here. They move forward and get onto that level. And the cows all get out of the way, you hit the button for it to drop back down, and it comes down, and at the same time that back door opens. And I think at the same time they had it worked so the crowd gate would move ahead a couple of foot, just to get
And they
cows'
just come
attention.
in here and they just all stack in here?
Yeah, they all go straight in. And
So
then
their
they
butts here.
Turn slightly, yep, those are the butt pans, so this cow's going from there to that butt pan. And these are the Mimi pads, the ID pads for the collars that they were wearing around their neck. So that's what's IDing them and sending the information to the computer in there, and also keeping track of the pounds of milk and which cow it is. It tells you on the display. We've taken the displays out of these. Let's go walk down through the bottom. So we've taken the Dematron 70, and I might have told you about those, and I didn't know if you knew what they were or not, but it's GIAs. It's all a Westphalia system, which is GIA. And the Dematron 70 pads, controls, I'll show them to you at the other end, but they fit in here. And so this is what the guys were doing. The milkers were attached here, and they hit a button here, and these automatic pull-offs and sensors, and the receiving jars were down in the basement, because I put a basement in this setup. And they were down there, and I think the receiving jars might be gone now, I'm not sure, but I've got all the claws still. 32 milker claws and units. But these are the Demotron 70s. It's supposed to be worth something yet. And these were my second generation. The first ones I put in here did not hold up well in the moisture. They were basically the same thing. These are a takeoff unit. And that's how you're milking your cows. Your milkers are, green button, drops the milker, put the milker on, and let it go. It's set up that it's automatic. 30 seconds without milk flow through it. It'll start blinking and give you a warning saying that, okay, no more milk comes through, I'm pulling you off, and it does. So it's all automatic. So the milkers just have to clean the udders, dip them, pre-wipe them, strip them, get them ready, put the milker on, and that's by attaching that. And then they're done with them until the milker comes back off. They went back through all cows then after the milking's done and dipped them again. The milker's usually tied like this to it. The air's on, so that's all retracted and it lifts it up to about here. You hit your green button on the release and it releases that air. It's just an air cylinder behind there, and those cylinders are all still there. And you stretch it over and put it on the cow. Yep. Milk's flowing out, flowing down, and in our case it was flowing to the basement into its meter, and that's what was going to cause. Then when you're all done milking, you don't need to detach these ropes. You leave them right on there. You take it all, and it's still attached, and you flip them over when you're done, and all 32 units get stuck in like that.
And that's how they wash.
Yeah. Oops, be careful. And then the wash tube comes up and it's attached right to that nipple. And the wash tube also is attached to the other one there. Wash tube, milk tube. And then the wash system from the other room is filling up a big vat of soap and cycling and runs it through its 4 cycles, I think, per when you're done milking. And so that's it, all 32 units. When you come in here, the next guy comes in to milk, they're all down in their wash racks like that. And it's done and sanitized, ready to milk again. So the first thing they do is pull all these out and hook them up onto the thing and go around, do 32 units, shove the trays back in out of their way, and they're ready to go get cows and milk. Acreage wise, I was around 1,000 acres, and everything I grew was alfalfa and corn. I could grow enough corn silage all the time for myself, but at 600 cows milking, I had to go get about every year about 150 to 200 acres more of corn, and I snapped my corn, which means I finally got smart enough. I had a nice claws chopper that I think is the best chopper they make, and I put a regular grain corn head on that chopper and ran the whole ears through it and set that chopper as fine as I could grind that corn, and that's how I harvested my high moisture corn, which is another thing that made me a lot of money, because most guys will just harvest the shell or shell corn, and it's both slower and harder and more expensive. And I did it, and I was milking up to 100 pounds of milk a day, but 95 more of the time, 95 pounds a day. And when I converted to straight high moisture shell corn and went to the ear, saving the whole cob, you can understand the benefits because of the amount of yield increase you get and that good usable cob fiber. So I didn't have to buy the soy hulls or anything. So cows were healthy. Our fats were running around 3.9. I converted to the snaplage, they call it. And I learned about that through my nutritionist, whose other farms had tried it first. So I'm not that much of a pioneer. I'm more of a follower. I like to watch people that are really good and do what they do.
Yep.
Especially if it makes sense. I'm going to crank that door open because those are probably the best free stalls we have.
Yeah, this was the main freestall barn. This barn's massive. Look at that fan he's got up there. That thing's huge. This is a huge barn. 600 cow freestall barn.
Slot with a chainsaw and ran a big, you'll see some of it down here, a big strap like a tie-down strap.
Yeah.
It's like 4-inch. And ran that right through vertical all the way, and we had tighteners, just like on the truck, the winch tighteners. We tightened the thing down, and that finally stopped the cows from squeezing under, because they tried to squeeze under some of the smaller ones. And this was our fresh group right here, our 2-year-old heifers. And they were a little smaller. They'd try to go underneath and sometimes get caught in the middle and end up hurting their backs. Completely broke. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 of them here. You get, plus take at least an extra 5 or so, because here they are, a bunch, and they're all pretty much the same, but they got a lot of meat on them yet. I mean, they're the heavy-duty clamps to start with. You
Yeah,
gotta
these
go
are the
buy
ones we use.
Are
Yep.
they good?
So this whole barn's pitched to the center.
Yeah.
Center.
Yep. And
Scrape it all out.
And then there's a flush, that flush alley right here goes down, and we had sand traps in it. Had boards going across, like dams,
Okay, yeah.
and it would catch the sand. And then the pit's 2 different elevations.
Okay.
If you walk forward, you can see the,
Yeah, this just got pushed this way. You scraped it 2 or 3 times a day? Or
No.
a week?
a week.
Because you had a flush system.
Yeah, the flush system flushed everything down. It would go down that alley, goes into the upper lagoon.
Oh, I
And the
see it.
dam, you can see, we started ripping it out already a little bit, but there was just a center section that was lower than the rest of it, one
So it
panel
just-
lower.
It just lets the juice in here.
Yep, then your solids stay in your upper pit. All your liquids go in here. There used to be a raft out in this one with a big 100-horse motor on it. And there's a 12-inch pipe goes underneath the barn. The raft had a hose went from it to that 12-inch pipe, goes to the flushes. The flushes are set up on air solenoids. The air solenoid would open for flush alley 1, would flush that for 5 to 7 minutes, whatever you set it at. Then flush 2 would open, flush 3.
It would come all the way through here.
Yep. And there's 8 alleys in this barn, 8 flush alleys. And then this barn had flush in it. 2 spots at the end down there where we could put boards that were 10 inches tall, and it would retain the sand in here
Ah.
and a lot of the solids.
We are out of here. I just paid the man. I got the load behind us. We're headed down a road where there's no traffic. We're gonna have to hit that highway again, but I want to thank Jerry. I just met him, talked to him on the phone, but thanks for giving us a tour like that. And that milking parlor, he was talking to me about it. A lot of stainless in there. That one side, 16, would fit probably in our parlor. We'll see what happens. I'm going to be in contact with him, but there's a lot of good stuff there. Back on our own farm, scraping alleyway just in time. Feed these bunks up, feed our own cows. Yeah, that Jerry there, that was, I didn't expect him to go in there and show us all that. That was pretty cool. Very, very successful guy there. Very smart. Put that together 20 years ago. And the reason he sold his cows was because he didn't have anybody to take it over. So he's gonna grow corn and soybeans, just to give you a little closing on him. Corn and soybeans, and I think in his words, he's gonna ride off into the sunset. He said if he had a guy like me or someone that wanted to carry it on, then he'd still be milking. He's still got heifers on that farm that he's gonna be getting rid of. So there's some cows still on there, but the milk cows are gone. Them barns we were in, that big barn, that was a 600 cow barn. Cost $400,000 to build. He sold it on auction for like 15 grand. Someone's got to come disassemble it. But yeah, it was funny the way he said that. He said I sold for 15, cost 400. But he's good with it. They're gonna disassemble. He's gonna get rid of all the curbs and the bunks and haul it out, crush it. They're gonna level all that. And I don't know, he may never even know there's a dairy farm there, and he's just gonna crop farm. So I mean, that's what my dad would be doing. Exactly what he's doing if it weren't for us boys here. But a heck of a farm. You've seen it from above. That farm's 3 times the size of this farm. We're milking 2. He was milking 600. He had like 600 replacements. We're milking 2, and we've got about 250 replacements. So 3 times the size. He had 13 employees at one time. But I tell you what, it's good to be home. It makes me appreciate this place that much more. My brothers are here holding down the fort, and Lonnie. I wouldn't trade this place for anything, and I'm sure you guys wouldn't either if you have a farm. So take care of what you got and build the farm up on your own. And I'm sure he had a lot of trials and tribulations along the way, just like we all do. So I wish the best of luck to him. We may be in contact here shortly. That could be a parlor of ours. A lot of stainless in there. That 16 would fit in our parlor, so we're gonna see. We may have stumbled on a milking parlor. So that's gonna do it for the video. I'm gonna tell thanks again. You guys can say thanks in the comment. Real good guy. I could tell he was a good, honest guy on the phone, and he didn't disappoint. So guys, see you in the next video. Take care. God bless.